Hey y'all, it's Adam here from DBT Outdoors, and today what I want to go over is a couple of baits. I want to review a couple of baits from Flatlands Custom Tackles, a tackle lure company out of Mississippi. Like I said in the name, it says Custom Tackle. They make awesome quality baits and custom, so they can make whatever colors you want, whatever blade combinations you want, sizes, all that stuff. So just a couple of baits that I'm going to go over today. The first one is his spinner bait, okay, and I'll get close-ups on all these later for you. But the spinner bait, this is in the chartreuse shad color. I have a double willow blades. I got the gold top blade and then a nickel willow blade to match it. Then I will go over his swim jigs, the shimmer flash spinner, beautiful bait, really awesome bait for you guys that like chunking spinner baits, or you like throwing the Alabama rigs, but those Alabama rigs wear you out, or you're just looking for kind of a smaller profile Alabama rig. It's just got a free swinging kind of like underspin on it. Okay, you can attach any swim bait you want, screw lock head with the underspin on the bottom, and then a free swinging like spinner bait up top. And when it hits something, having that hinge to where it can swing freely, it really gets through cover a lot and just knocks off of any kind of timber or anything that you might be fishing around. And then the next one, real simple but extremely effective, are just these little bitty blades that go on Cincos, and at Flatlands Custom Tackle they just call them Cinco Rigs. Or I don't know if you know Keith Poche, Elite Series fisherman, did very well in the Bassmaster Classic a few years ago with this technique. And I think he calls it the power spinner, Cinco power swimmer. So I'm going to go into detail on these baits, and I'll zoom in on them so you can see them just a little better. Thank you. Alright, the first bait that I'm going to review by Flatlands Custom Tackle is the Shimmer Flash Spin right here. And what it is an underspin that is attached to like a jig spin. And what I went with was a nickel gold double willow blade combination up top with the nickel underspin blade. Now I went with the 1/4 ounce version, and it's a screw lock head on a 4/0 hook. And one thing that I really like about this bait is right here it is hinged, so this can move back and forth freely. The bait can deflect off and bounce really good, so the hang-ups are very minimal. So it's not like that head or that swim bait is held in place. It can kind of dart back and forth and deflect off of any kind of cover that you may be fishing around. The next thing that I like about this bait is, for those of y'all that like throwing Alabama rigs and things like that, it's pretty much just like a scaled down or smaller size Alabama rig. I like to call it a one-hooked Alabama rig. And you can throw it all day and it's not going to wear you out like an Alabama rig will, because a lot of times them Alabama rigs are very heavy, and you can throw it on lighter line and things like that. So it's a very versatile, awesome bait that's a lot more compact than Alabama rigs and gives all the flash that you need. Next bait we're going to look at is the spinner bait. I went with the 3/8 ounce version of this spinner bait with a double willow gold combo with a nickel gold blade on top. And if you look at these, one main thing that I really like about these baits is how the skirt is tied on. And all people talk about hand-tied skirts. This one here, I don't know if you can see very well, but it is tied on with a piece of copper. And in my opinion, just thinking about it, copper is going to hold up a lot better than just a piece of thread or hand tying it with thread. That copper, I like that idea a lot. The next thing, it's got the nice 3D eyes to add good realistic features to it. And the spacer right here, instead of just being a little tube, it's actually a very, very fine spring. And the little balls to help separate it. You got the gold on top and the nickel on bottom to match the blades. And the last thing, it's got a very, very high quality ball bearing swivel to keep that blade spinning with very, very slow retrieves. The skirt is the Sexy Shad skirt. Once again, hand tied, easily 50 strands or more. So very, very beautiful spinner bait right here. And it's one that, because it's all handmade, quality, custom made, you know that right when you take it out of the package, it's gonna perform and swim straight right out the package. There's not going to be any tweaking that you have to do to these baits. Alright, the next Flatlands custom tackle bait we're going to look at is the swim jig. This swim jig is the 1/4 ounce version. I love throwing swim jigs. I'm a big tidal water river fisherman. So these 1/4 ounce versions I love. They're very versatile, and I can stick them in some really tight spots. Now, once again, this skirt is tied with a piece of copper, thin copper wire like the other skirt, and I just think it'll hold up a lot better than pieces of thread. Also, it has a vertical eye loop where you tie your line onto, which I like more. It keeps the swim bait more snag proof. It penetrates through stuff a lot easier instead of having that horizontal eye loop to where just that little bit of extra fatness would get you hung up. So this one with the vertical eye loop, a whole lot better in my opinion. And also the weed guard, it's kind of like the perfect thickness to me. It should get through stuff no problem, but then again, it's not too thick or too stiff like a lot of the other companies that I've fished in the past, to where you kind of have to frill them out yourself or cut a couple of pieces of the weed guard out. This one is perfect. I like it a lot. It also has a very, very sturdy hook. I believe this has a 4/0 mustad hook. Should be very, very great bait all year round. You know, swim baits are very, very versatile. Flatlands custom tackle can make any color skirt that you want, and jig head color, and very, very fully customizable. Alright, the last thing we're going to review here from Flatlands Custom Tackle is what he calls the Cinco Rigs. And all it is a very small blade, either Colorado or willow, whichever color you want as well. If you want it in the gold or the nickel color, he can make it for you, whatever you want. And Keith Poche, an Elite Series fisherman, made this technique very, very popular when he did very well in the Bassmaster Classic. I think he finished in 3rd place the year that he used this technique. And really what it does, it just gives your Cinco or stick bait, whatever type of stick bait you choose to fish with, just a little extra flash. Just maybe that little extra thing that you might need to get them couple extra bites. We all know that Cincos and stick baits are excellent baits, and maybe if you're fishing the mouth of a ditch or a creek channel, and you know the fish are stacked up, and you've been throwing, and you know you've caught your fish, but you know there's still other fish there. A lot of times, if you throw one of these Cinco rigs on the back of it, gives it that little extra flash. It may help you pick up those 2 or 3 more bites of those fish that are stacked up right there, who weren't just hitting the Cinco or stick bait alone, but when you throw this Cinco rig on the back of it, give it that little flash, it'll draw those strikes. There's definitely a lot of different ways to fish this. My favorite way is to fish it weightless. I just cast it out, I'll let it sink for about 5 seconds, and then I'll just do a very, very, very slow retrieve. Most of the time I won't twitch it or anything, but occasion I'll give it a twitch, or I'll give it the rise and fall technique, kind of yo-yoing it. You can also rig these wacky rigged, and
when you wacky rig it, you can put the blade in the middle just like you would put the hook in your wacky rigs, and that also gives a different look. So these are very, very simple, but on the other hand, very, very effective.